Hi everybody, my name is Louis Thiel. I'm new here with World Football News. Just some background on me. I'm 18, just graduated high school, going to Grand Canyon University next year, and I'm going to be a correspondent that just sort of helps out just across the board a little bit here for this first season at least. I hope to take a bigger role in future. But so today, I was hoping to talk to everybody about West Ham United. I'm a big West Ham fan myself. So I'm going to be giving you the preview for them this upcoming EPL season as well as the Europa League. So just for starters, um, I'd like to address the two previous friendlies that they've had here in the U.S. They lost 3-0 to the Seattle Sounders, and they just drew yesterday to an NASL team, the Carolina Railhawks. I'm not worried about them. That's the easiest way to put it. If you look at the rosters that were put out from West Ham, you are losing a lot of key players. Really, at most times, you only had 4 players from the actual first team squad on the field at any given time. So you weren't getting the real West Ham United out there, I don't think. And as far as this Carolina Railhawks game goes, we gave up an own goal and a penalty. I think that that's easy as it gets. We just handed them that draw. So I'm not worried about it. Plus, you know the old saying, a worse preseason is going to lead to a better regular season. But so now getting down to some of the specifics, I think that anytime you look at this team, there's one thing that's very obvious, okay? And it's, we've got Pyatt! And I'm not sure if you quite understand that just yet, but Dimitri Payet's a world-class player at this point in time. He's one of the best attacking midfielders. He put it on display in the Euros for everybody to see. He was one of the best players out there on the pitch at any given time. But they kept taking him out, so I was a little upset. But between him and Griezmann, I think that they had a great run there for France, excuse me. And really, Payet he's the essence of this team at this point. There's no doubt that he's the best player on the team. He's going to be likely the highest paid player unless if a couple transfers end up getting way more, which I hope they don't, because Payet should be the highest paid player on this team. And if he doesn't, he's going to start thinking that he should be going elsewhere. So beyond that, though, you really have what I would consider to be a great midfield on this team. You have Manuel Lanzini on one of the wings, and we brought in Feguli from Valencia as well this year. Those are two very solid wingers that are going to be really just feeding whoever the striker is for us this year. And obviously, there's a lot of talk on that end right now. You also have, in the midfield, you have guys like Gonkin Torre, who we just got in from Besiktas. You have this Nordtveit from Mönchengladbach that we also just brought in as well. Mark Noble, the skipper of West Ham, had a hell of a season last year, and I don't think that he's going to be letting up anytime soon. You have Obiang, you have Kouyaté, you have Antonio, although Antonio I think is probably going to be seeing a little bit more further back. I think we'll be seeing him play quite a bit of right back this year. But so yeah, the strength of this team is without a doubt going to be sitting within the midfield. It's when you get to your forwards here and the back line that I think it gets a little interesting. Overall, I think that the back line is very strong. You have Angelo Ogbonna, who had a hell of a year last year, as well as Winston Reid and Aaron Cresswell. Those are going to be your 3 main guys. Then you also have James Collins, who will be switching in at center back as well. And he had a good Euros as well for Wales. Of course, a lot of people thought that he gave up, there should have been a penalty when he just about tackled Ronaldo in the box. But regardless, those are 4 very solid players. Then you're going to have Michael Antonio probably playing right back a lot this year. He's kind of switched within the defenders and the midfield. I don't know where he's going to fit in right now. He's obviously an interesting player to keep an eye on this year. But outside of that, the back line starts to get very thin. We have a pretty glaring problem with the lack of depth in the back line. So I'm hoping that we bring in a transfer, and there's been rumors a lot out there that you have Tomas Vermaelen from FC Barcelona, obviously, in his old days at Arsenal. He's longing to get back to London. And obviously, Tottenham isn't going to bring him in because they have a very strong defense. They have a lot of defenders. It'd be just a complete log jam for him to be there. And him and Arsenal, their relationship isn't necessarily the best right now. He is hoping that Arsenal gives him an offer, but I'm not exactly sure if they're going to give it to him. And West Ham has already reportedly put in a very strong bid there for Vermaelen. So if they were to bring him in, that would really make this an extremely strong line. Probably another strength of the team, if I'm being particularly honest. But that is still in the very early stages, I think. I think that Vermaelen has a lot of thinking to do. Obviously, he said that he has his family in London, so he might be willing to take a pay cut. But the problem is that West Ham is likely also going to be paying a lot of money to whatever striker they bring in. You look at their striker depth right now, and you see, obviously, you have Andy Carroll up there. Andy Carroll, the guy's got a head of a foot. He's played outstanding last year. A lot of people thought that he was snubbed from Roy Hodgson's England lineup. Him and Mark Noble both had a lot of talk of being snubbed from Hodgson's roster. But regardless, you're moving on from there. Andy Carroll up top, and then you also have Diafra Sakho, who likely is on the outs right now. There has been a lot of talk of him going to West Bromwich. And regardless, we don't have a top-tier striker on this team. I think that Andy Carroll is a great piece, but obviously he gets hurt a lot as well. So what you also, and I'm also forgetting Enter Valencia as well. And I'm going to probably touch on him a little bit later as well, because I'm not exactly sure where he fits into this team, even though he's an outstanding player. But regardless, we're looking at a lot of different players as far as with transfer, from a transfer aspect. We've seen bids for Lacazette be rejected already. We threw in a good shot at Michy Batshuayi before he went to Chelsea. Carlos Tevez, we were reportedly asking him to come back, but he rejected an offer saying that he wanted to make $250K a week. And sorry, Carlos, we love you, but no. You had said that you loved us, but you were asking for 100,000 more than we were willing to give you. There was reports of offers of 150K a week. That's ridiculous. That probably pisses off quite a few West Ham fans, and we don't want any of it. But then beyond that, okay, beyond that, you get to obviously we've had a lot of news with Carlos Bacca in the news lately. Apparently, we put about a 25 million pound offer, and really, you have two sides of this argument at this point. You have either he's coming, or there's no way in hell he's coming. You know, I saw one report today that he's accepted an offer to make 3.3 million pounds this year. And I saw another offer that said, or another report that said, no, he's leaving. He's going to go and look at Atletico Madrid. And regardless of where that ends up, I hope Bacca is in a claret and blue uniform next year, but I have my doubts. I'm being a little pessimistic here. And beyond him, though, there's several players that we could be looking at. Christian Benteke has been rumored as well. You have Gabbiadini from Napoli, Icardi from Inter. Kovacic from Real Madrid was reportedly offered to us, but we rejected it, which really kind of... that confuses me. I would have liked to have seen us put our best hand out there for him, but regardless, there's plenty of strikers out there to have our picking from. Obviously, Bacca is going to be one of the better ones that we look at, but we have some work to do there because our striker forces are obviously slim right now. But so as far as looking forward to this season, Enner Valencia is one of the more interesting players because I'm not sure where he fits into this lineup. When you add Feguli and Torre both to this lineup, that takes out 2 winger spots, and you already had Lanzini sitting there on the left. So where is Valencia going to fit in? He's played striker a lot before as well, but is he really going to be getting first team reps over whoever we bring in and Andy Carroll? I kind of doubt it. So I wouldn't doubt if we see him just playing a lot in the FA Cup maybe, and just kind of sporadically throughout maybe the Europa League and the Premier League. But I don't know where Enner Valencia fits in this on this particular roster. That's going to be one of the more interesting persons to watch throughout this year, see how Slaven Bilic takes care of him. But so looking forward to this next season, obviously you have the move from the Boiling Ground to Olympic Stadium. That's a huge, huge move. And an additional 30,000 seats, I think it is. That's a lot of room for West Ham fans to feel cozy, I think. We'll see whether they fill up the stadium. David Gold and David Sullivan are both saying that they have plenty of season tickets already bought. But so with the new stadium does a heightened sense of what's the word the higher expectations. Do they have higher expectations now at the Olympic Stadium? And I think the answer is yes. You look at the roster right now, you have the world-class Payet. You have hopefully bringing in a Carlos Baca. You have maybe bringing in a Thomas Vermaelen in the back. They're spending a lot of money right here. Now, granted, they lose James Tompkins, and they are likely going to lose Diafra, and that's probably going to pay for whoever the striker is. But regardless, this is a team that should be contending for those top 4 spots. If I was a betting man, I think that West Ham would be a very interesting bet to qualify for the Champions League this next year. That's obviously going to be Slaven Bilic's goal. He's probably going to say it to you straight out in the media. But we'll see where West Ham ends up this year. I think they're going to be definitely one of the more interesting teams to watch this year. And regardless, as a fan, I am very excited to see this team out on the pitch. And I hope that you are too. Thank you for listening, and be sure to watch all our other videos at WFN, and have a great day.